we became more ambitious throughout the years, and we do kind of want to become a household name in the form building business. So we kind of started as, okay, this is niche and fun, but now I feel like, this can become a lot bigger.
This is probably the earliest I've woke up with my daughter, even. Like, my daughter does a good job of like sleeping until at least 7, 8 o'clock.
Oh, that's because amazing.
I go to sleep at like, I don't know, 1, 2 or whatever. And when I got your email late last night for me that was confirming, and I was like, all right, it's good. I'm ready. I'm gonna get up at like 4 o'clock in the morning. So like, and because this was like the latest time on your calendar, I think.
I'm really.
Because what time is it there?
So for me now it's 20 past 3.
Okay.
But yeah, time is kind of very precious here with 2 kids. So yeah, we have like this whole system worked out with shifts, and one week I have a morning shift, the other week I have an evening shift. I need to leave, I need to pick up the kids, So there's like
wow.
stops. Yeah, that's how it
that
is
was one thing.
Run a business together.
Yeah. Okay. So you just announced that you hit 150K a month in recurring revenue.
Yes.
Okay. Congratulations.
Thanks.
That is amazing. And we jumped right into this with kids. But if you want, and I want to unpack it a little bit, but if you want, can you give everyone here a little introduction on just a little bit of background about who you are and what you've done with Typeforms?
Yeah, of course. So my name is Marie. I'm based in Belgium, and I founded Tally in 2020 together with my partner, Philip. We originally had a completely different idea, but I'll spare you that story for now. Maybe we can come back to it later.
Yeah.
But during COVID, ended up building a form builder. We thought like, forms are pretty boring. We can do better than what's out there, and started building Tally. So we've been growing organically ever since, and now we have 450,000 users, something like that, worldwide.
That's insane.
Using our product. Yeah.
Just to jump in there, like that is so. I've been following your journey for. I think we've been trying, as we were talking before, we've been trying to do this for a year, at least a year.
That's bad. Now I feel bad.
No, part of it was me too, not because to your credit, you said follow up with me in January. And
yeah.
Every single time I message you, you message back. So
I tried.
This last time, you're amazing. You're amazing. This last lag was my fault. So
we made it happen.
we made it. So and to go back, you also built this company with 2 kids.
Yeah.
Like your first one, I remember your article, or you shared your journey. In the first one that was like, you've been building in public and you've been writing blogs about your journey. And I think I remember it was your first, like, was it 1 million ARR or was it 100K a month? Or maybe it was like 50 or 60K.
The first post was like was 5K, I think.
5K
or 1K even. Like we started really at the, from the beginning. And I think that's what kind of made people follow us as well, because we've been doing it from the start, right? And in the beginning, it's like, oh, this is cute, they hit like the first customer, there's 1K MRR, and then eventually the number became bigger, but people kept on following our journey. So that's
and I think that's one of the questions I wanted to unpack, and we'll go in and out of the questions I sent you. But like you share that journey 5K. That's not when I found you. I don't think. I don't remember how or why I did. But I think
definitely not with the 5K, because no one was following us.
Yeah. like that's something I'm interested in. What our audience will be very interested in. There's like small business freelancers, like solopreneurs, people like that. And what was the channel, like the distribution channel you used to get the word out? Was it just Twitter? Where were you blogging?
The blogging came, I think, when we were like a few months in, or actually since the start, but we didn't have any audience. So we would share it like anywhere we could, like just made like a Tally Facebook page, a Twitter account, we were on Reddit, but actually mostly on indie hackers, indiehackers.com.
Okay.
And I guess, because we, identified ourselves as indie hackers starting out, we also kind of had the idea that we wanted to build a sustainable lifestyle business for to sustain ourselves and our family. That's kind of how we got started. So I think mainly on indie hackers, and in that community, you also kind of have the habit of sharing milestones and sharing revenue and sharing everything in public. And that's also where I learned a lot from other founders, like being a few steps ahead. So I think it kind of started there. And then I started sharing a bit more, milestones or like behind the scenes stuff from my personal Twitter account. But I had 200 followers or something like that. So definitely no audience there. But we kind of just kept on doing it and started building a bit of an audience. But actually our first users didn't really come from that. They really came from cold outreach. So we would just look for people on mainly on Product Hunt, actually. So we went to Product Hunt and we would say, this person upvoted like similar products like Tally. So it could be a form builder, but it could also be anything else that is like no code or productivity space. And then we would look for their details manually. So not a scalable process at all. And then just send them a DM like, hey, we're working on this new form builder. We think you might like it. Do you want to try it out? It's free. You don't need an account. You couldn't even publish a form at the time. It's just like, do you want to play with it? And that's how we found our first users. And the people who replied, they joined like a private Slack group that we had and still have. There's 3,000 people in there now. We had to close it at one point, but it's still like a super valuable part of our community because those are the early users, and we can ask them anything, right? And that's how we kept on building, asking feedback until we had 1,000 people on the platform, and then we decided to launch on Product Hunt, and then we kind of went to the space.
It was very hard for me not to jump in because I always jump on everything.
Sorry.
No. Because that you literally just you gave such great tactical stuff there. That's like so many people underestimate. Like one of our tools is called Mail Lead. And it's like it's a cold outreach tool because I absolutely believe that cold outreach in any form, to DMs, to email, for investors, for sales, for partners, for anything, is so necessary to starting up, or like definitely when you're bootstrapped. Like you can't.
I agree.
Like you can't. It is such a superpower because all it takes is your time. Right. So you actually, how many people would you say you DM'd like in the early stages?
Thousands.
Yeah. Thank you. And how many people what was like maybe your response rate, like your user rate?
I think it was like, as well, we didn't use a tool. It was just a Google sheet. We didn't like keep track of rates, but I got the question a lot, and I tried to go back and figure it out. And it was pretty, I think, high for cold outreach. I think it was something between 5 and 10% of response rate, which I think was good for us. Of course, the people we reached out to were pretty niche. It was like startup founders, designers, product people, like people that we thought, people like us that might, be interested in the tool that we're building. But yeah, that was the response rate.
That's amazing. Like, I feel like a lot of people will be like, I'm only hearing from 5% of people. Like,
Yeah,
that's probably that is like 3 to 5 times greater than the average even.
yeah,
So I always suspect it's going to be 1 to 2% from cold outreach.
yeah,
So if you if you messaged 3,000, I don't know, 2,000,
yeah.
thousands.
Let's say 2000. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was your first, let's call it 1 to 200 users, 200 users ish,
Yeah,
or
something like that. Yeah. And then obviously people started making forums, and the forums have our branding, and that's,
yeah.
how we started getting more people in. Yeah.
Okay. So it started before you officially launched on Product Hunt and launched like publicly, because
Yeah.
where do you launch something?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um you outreached cold on Twitter or Indie Hackers. Where did you DM them?
Wherever we could find their
Okay.
contact details. So if it
Okay.
would be an email, that would be the
Yeah.
best. It could
Oh,
be
okay.
LinkedIn, it could be DM,
Yeah.
like whatever we could find.
Yeah.
We did combine that with like some social listening, I would say. So I would be tracking all mentions of form builders or any like competitors or established players in the field, and checking if anyone is looking for a Typeform alternative, for example.
Mm.
Search terms like that, or topics like that. It was mainly Twitter, Reddit, and Quora as well. And I would just spend my days on replying to those, like, hey, there's this new thing that we're building, do you want to try it out? So trying to make sure that in every conversation that people are having about
Yeah.
form
Yeah.
builders, that we would be there. Yeah.
I think that's part of your brilliance in marketing, because your background, I guess you and your partner
Yeah.
were like, he was the engineer
Right.
and you were the marketer.
Right.
And I think, did you or him work at HubSpot maybe?
No, I did use
Oh,
HubSpot
oh,
before.
you used okay. Okay.
I used HubSpot, but we didn't. No, I didn't work at HubSpot before.
Where was it that you had your background? What was your background was in marketing. So what did you
Yeah,
do before Tally then, before you started
it
that?
was B2B marketing,
Okay.
and I first worked at one of the bigger publisher companies in Belgium.
Okay. Okay.
And I worked at the advertising department there, and I was basically helping the sales teams to go to their clients and convince clients that they had to buy ads in one of our newspapers or online websites.
Wow.
So more like
Okay.
research type of job.
Yeah.
Then turned into more of a marketing job there, became marketing manager, and then I moved to a digital product studio. So basically an agency that develops mobile applications and websites for other clients,
Okay.
more enterprise clients. And I would be in charge of B2B marketing there for the agency. So it's more about thought leadership, writing about next big trends and things like that, but a lot of content marketing as well. That's also where I started using HubSpot and HubSpot Forms
Ah,
as well, and got into
okay.
touch with a lot of form builder tools. But so
Well,
that's my background. I've never worked at like a SaaS or a
okay,
startup.
okay.
Yeah.
So that's even better then, because I don't know where I got HubSpot. this is
Yeah.
this is like a conglomeration of me just remembering your blog posts and reading things. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And just like throwing things out there. But like, but you still are a marketing genius, obviously, because not a lot of people bootstrap from 0 to 150K MRR, which is absolutely amazing. I remember when you posted that, I was like, "Oh, there's two things, right? Where I'm thinking to myself back to one of your first ones. Maybe maybe it was the 50K a month milestone blog post.
Could be. Yeah.
And whatever, it's one of them. Like, because I love them all, I forward them to people, like, at our
Oh,
company and stuff.
that's nice to hear. Because
Like,
I put in quite a lot of time into
yeah,
writing
you
them,
do. No, you
and then
do.
I'm like, who actually reads them?
Yeah,
I
like,
mean,
that's why I'm I'm constantly talking about you and Tally at the company. Like,
wow.
it's so funny how much I have actually modeled our model after yours. Like, and we can unpack that in a little bit, but I'll never forget in one of your blog articles, it was very early on, so taking me back early. You mentioned that you took like 2 months off with your first kid, or what? Maybe fill in the
Yeah,
details there. Was
yeah,
that, and all I remember thinking then, because I had no kid, was, oh, lost momentum, you know?
yeah.
Like, that's all I
So
thought then. But
I didn't actually. So we had our first daughter, Lucy. She was born actually um, in December 2020. And so we
okay,
started with Tally in the summer or September. So we hadn't
okay,
really publicly launched yet. So
okay.
life was pretty different for us. You know, we didn't have all the users yet. It
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
a big business yet. And we actually wanted to launch in December before she was born, which was actually a really stupid idea because we had no idea what the traction would be, right? So we were like, oh,
Yeah, yeah.
let's launch and then have the
Yeah, yeah.
baby.
Right.
And actually, luckily, she was born 3 weeks early.
Oh, wow.
And so we were like, okay, postponing the launch. And luckily, you know, we did that. Then we postponed it to, it was like March 2021. And, you know, we had a couple of months to get used to, you know, having a baby. And then she
Yeah, yeah.
started going to daycare as well. Um, and then we launched, and then, you know, things kind of started growing from there.
So
I didn't
you
really took time off then.
okay. Yeah,
I mean, obviously had to, you know, recover from giving birth,
yeah.
but I do
Obviously.
remember, like, you know, breastfeeding while typing on my laptop and, like, actually, you know,
Yeah.
trying to get new users in.
Yeah, I am 100% confident you did not take time off, you know what I mean?
No,
Like,
but I
but
did
yeah.
do that the second time, because
Oh,
we
okay. Okay.
had our son Theo was born last year in October,
Hmm,
and then I really realized that how stressful it had been the first time for me,
hmm.
not to really have proper time off. Um, we already had some people in the team, and I really prepared for, like, okay, I'm gonna be off for 3 months, so I'm not gonna be involved in anything. And actually, Philip then also kind of decided to take things a bit more easy during that time, because in the end, you know, you really need to enjoy those moments as well, and they are
Yeah,
more
yeah.
important than the
Yeah.
business.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so then, yeah, I
Or
took that.
are they? Or are they? Or
Yeah.
are they? No, no. Yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah, yeah.
sometimes. Um, and we actually had some great months. So the product grew a lot while we were doing less. And that was also a moment of,
Mm,
like,
yeah.
reflection for me, like, oh, wait, are we doing the right things? And obviously, we
Mm,
created this machine of product led growth where the product is selling itself. And as well, you know, the months like October, November, like the last quarter, are always the best kind of months in terms of growth. But so I don't think the product really suffered from it. Obviously,
yeah.
you know, our lives became a lot more busy. But so the second time I managed to take some time off, and I'm really happy that I did. Yeah.
Is it some, like, I always say there's just like everyone, and you didn't say this, I said this. Everyone is like, "Oh, there's an easier way to do something." Or like, "If I had
Yeah.
known that then, and I would have worked less," or "You didn't have to put in 70 hours a week." And I vehemently hate it. I hate that, like, because essentially the message you spread is there is an easier way for other people, and learn from my mistakes.
Yeah.
And my take of that, and we can differ, but you can tell me yours, is you wouldn't have been able to enjoy the pressing the pause or doing the different thing and looking back at your experience, I don't think you would have been there had you not done the 50, 60, 70, 80-hour weeks, killing yourself for just a period of time. Like,
no, totally. Yeah, totally. And I also feel like having kids throughout, at the same time as we started the business, it's definitely not a competitive advantage, right? Like,
yeah,
they're energy draining, and you kind of
yeah.
want to put every hour that you have in the business. And that's
Yeah.
something that we really, really struggled with, because we wanted to have kids. So we decided, like, okay, kids are more important in life than the business, so we're not going to postpone having kids. And so we went for it.
Yeah.
But if I would need to do it all over again, and maybe if I would have been a bit younger, I would do things differently, because it's really hard to combine. And we struggled a lot with accepting that we had, well, it's not like we have less hours in a day, but so we do. We have less energy. We have less sleep, less energy, less time, and you just cannot work as much as you do before, especially not if you actually want to see the kids as well.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's interesting, because I think the scariest thing for me, because you and your partner were both doing this,
Yeah.
right? So my wife works a regular good job,
Yeah.
like where it's not entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
And that, when I was reading your story, like freaked me the out, where I was like, I can't imagine how you, and I know neither one of you was not doing nothing for a time, for any time. There's just, you can read about your story, you can look at what you've done, and you just know it's like, there's not a day she's not checking something. You know what I mean? There's
Yeah.
like,
No, obviously.
there's
Yeah.
just, yeah, right. There's no like switch off if
No.
you both love what you do and it's going well, you
Yeah.
know? So
I think
like,
that last part is really important, and it's going well, right? Because we've
yeah.
been growing, and so it's
Yes.
motivating, right?
Yeah. All
Taking
right.
3 months off when you're not growing, and you have different challenges to tackle, that's
Yeah.
less easy. So we kind of got to the point where we could do all of that. Nevertheless, it's a very stressful journey, even if you grow. It's
Yeah.
kind of feels like a huge responsibility to run this business and to serve all those users with a really small team. We haven't had we've had holidays, but we haven't had a day where, well, there have been 2 days that we haven't worked, and those were the 2 days where the kids were born, right? That's when Philip has not
Yeah.
opened his laptop.
I am guilty, because I feel that from you, definitely, always have. But I just don't think you build anything great with like,
Without putting in the hours, yeah.
without just putting it in. Like
Yeah.
whatever it is, you cold messaged thousands of people to get 1 to 200 users. Okay, so we'll back up a tad. So cool. Emailed thousands of people, DM'd thousands of people, got your first couple hundred users that way. That's what you called pre-launch, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So then, did you start sharing your journey at that time, or was it maybe post Product Hunt launch?
Yeah, it was more like we had a blog post when we just started and shared it with no one, because there was no one. We kind of documented day one.
Yeah.
And then I think we launched, and we did share how the launch went. So that was like a topic that we wrote about. And then I think it kind of really started after we completed 1 year. And then I think the first one was like the first year, and we got to 5K MRR after 1 year.
Okay.
And that was like the first post where we looked back. What did we do? How did we go from 0 to where we are now?
And that was on Indie Hackers, was the channel there?
It was actually, we have our own blog.
Okay.
Yeah, and we write in there and then share it on, mostly Indie Hackers, but also Twitter and Reddit are the channels where we are most active.
Is there a channel, like I swear I found you on maybe Twitter X, but I swear also maybe Indie Hackers, and I wanted to get Indie Hackers actually just messaged me and wanted to do
Right.
like an article or something.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
and I thought that was amazing, and I'm filling out their question stuff
Yeah.
right now. Yeah, and
Cool.
I was like, I've never thought about using I've always wanted to blog or do something or an AMA or something on Indie Hackers. I really
Yeah.
have. I'm telling you, even at my stage, right? I mean, last year we made maybe we made over $1 million, and we'll beat that this year. So
Wow.
like, um, but I'm still afraid to put out my first word on Indie Hackers or doing
Why?
I don't know. And that's why every time I read one of your things, I get inspired. So
Wow.
like
It's
I'm
really
like,
nice.
damn it. Like because every time I'm thinking, oh, her next blog, I somewhat think this, where it's like, oh, she hasn't shared a bigger blog post in a while because what you
Yeah.
do is amazing. Ready? You recap
Yeah.
everything so beautifully in your blog post. Like, here's where we're at. Here's a link out to this. You almost like redo the timeline and how you got to 150 from the beginning. So it's when you came
Yeah.
out with 50, it's you started from zero again. And
Yeah.
you're
Because
like,
we notice that yeah, as we grow, our audience grows, right?
"Hmm,
And when I share stuff now, there's a lot of new people coming in and seeing the blog post, and so I always find it important to just say like, hey, this is where we started. So that's why I start
yeah,
every post with all the milestones, kind of like, this is year one, year two, whatever.
yeah,
And I did not invent this. I saw it from someone, probably. I don't remember who. I think it was maybe the founders of Crisp. I'm not sure,
okay,
like a company that was building in public as well. And I thought, oh, that's really nice because you come in and like, here's 1 million ARR, but you see where they started,
yeah,
and it
yeah,
becomes a
yeah."
lot more relatable in some way. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a funny thing, like, that I would like to ask, which is, it's different. You now have all the power, right? Like, I think you have over 10,000 followers on
I have
X,
10,000,
Twitter?
which is not, yeah, not
Yeah,
like a huge audience. Like it's not
it's
something I'm
enough.
working on actively, but yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's like a catalyst. So,
yeah,
when you put something out, it gets some minimal amount of traction, you
yeah,
know? Um,
yeah.
so that's good. You have an established audience there. If you were telling me to get where to get started, where to like share my build we have
Yeah.
YouTube, and I think we
Yeah.
just crossed 6,000 subs. I think.
Wow. Congrats.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so
Mhm.
lucky for the entire community. And I've put so much effort into YouTube,
Yeah.
right? Like so much effort. I mean, not, I mean,
You
this is
woke
kind
up
of
at 4 a.m. today,
for you.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know how many people I would have done it for. I honestly don't. I'm telling you, I would not have woke up this for an investor. I can honestly
Right.
say that, So,
But yeah,
um, but this is
thank
great.
you for that.
You, by the way, you are welcome. Um, and thank you even more.
Of
So
course.
if I, if I go, tell me this tactical stuff. If I go in, is it just I blog on Indie Hackers, or
Yeah.
what is
So
where do I start there if it's not X, Twitter, and post, which I kind of do, but I don't really go in. Should I
yeah.
blog on Indie Hackers, or what would be the strategy there you would tell me to do to get started?
So we went on Indie Hackers because we figured that it was two things that our audience would be there. So other
Mhm.
indie hackers would be interested in the free form building tool. So that's like the main reason. And so the audience is there, right? And because we didn't have any audience, it makes a lot more sense to just go on Indie Hackers. And we also were following other indie hackers just to see, what they were building. So for us, it kind of made sense
Mm.
just to share in that community.
Yeah.
So I mean, if the audience is there, I would definitely recommend that. I also joined quite some Slack groups in the beginning for us, like the whole no code movement was obviously pretty important, and it was really started booming in Europe. It was more in France, like during COVID, and then we got introduced to some people that had grown the no code France community, and they have a very active Slack group. So then we kind of got introduced there, and people started sharing our tool there and our stories as well. So it was a combination of things. And then Twitter, we just kept on doing because we figured, that the tech audience would be there. And
so I'm picking up it's a lot of everything at the beginning.
It was a lot of everything. Yeah.
And when
a lot of small things.
Yeah, and they add up, and they do.
Yeah.
And it's so starting small, right? If there was one channel, like you kind of get spread out, right? Which is why I focused on YouTube, and then we have our own community now, I think, which is
and I think YouTube would be a great place to start. We didn't do YouTube just because I am or at least was very camera shy. So I didn't want to record videos. I didn't
you were camera shy?
Yeah.
Okay. And now you're getting on stages weren't you just at MicroConf or
something? Yeah.
Look at you.
Yeah.
How did you fight that fear?
Just by doing it more. So the first one was first big event we did. We got invited by Nathan Latka to go to SaaS Open in New York.
Oh, I think I
had no idea how big it was. And I arrived in this huge conference room, and I was the opening speaker. So I had never done this before. So I was super, super nervous. And I was like, okay, I just have to do this. And then I saw the recording, and I saw I was really nervous, and I tried to, learn from it. And then do it more and more. And obviously by doing it more, you get a bit more relaxed. And I think also throughout the years and through blogging as well, we managed to fine tune our story a bit more and to, really pinpoint what works and what didn't. And so that makes it easier to go on stage and just share the story. And so I always make sure that I just talk about the journey. I don't talk about, I don't present myself as the expert. I'm not here to tell you how you should do product-led growth or anything like that, but I'm just here to share what we did with Tally and what worked and what didn't. So that helps me to relax because there's nothing I can say wrong, right? I can just share whatever we did. Yeah.
Like you say, you're not an expert, but like I will say this, and I tell this to everyone because this is what this YouTube and all of this other stuff has been about is you are the expert in your story. So I'll never forget, like back in school, they make you stand up in front of the class and talk about some book report or whatever. And, I'll never forget, I had one teacher. Yeah, me too. Yeah. I had one teacher, professor in college that said, there's nothing to be nervous about up here. Because no one is going to pay you money, right, to stand on a stage or get in front of someone and talk about something you don't know. And that changed in my head, where it's like, if you get over the nerves of just being on a stage or being in front of people, which the only way you do that is just doing it more, right? So I don't even sometimes I'm nervous all the time. I'm nervous starting this, So I'm driving here nervous, driving to the office. So it's like going, oh my God. Every time, and this is my channel, but the more you do it, the less you it just becomes natural,
Yeah. So it becomes natural, but as well, it's like, I don't need to convince anyone of anything. I just need to be myself. And I think in the first year, I tried to be more like the professional founder, and I know it all, and I just didn't, and it stressed me out. And so now, I just find it a lot easier to just share the journey. And if I don't know, I'll just tell you, I don't know. And
how
that's
would you
fine?
Yeah. So how would you, I'm going to ask this one question, then we'll get into a couple of the other questions. I guess if you go back to the original time you started sharing the journey, there's kind of like this nothing to lose mentality, right? Because you're
Yeah.
like, whatever, if no one listens, no one listens. The company goes nowhere, whatever.
Yeah.
Now there's kind of when you start doing it. So this didn't happen to you, but I really want you to get there in your head. You share and it's five grand a month, and it took you a year, right? And you're like, okay. And then it took you, I want to say, 6 months after that to get about 20K a month.
I think it was a bit longer.
Okay. 6 to
I
12.
think
Was
that
it a
was more
year?
like that was a year probably.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. So it was a year. And then I do believe that's when you hit 50K is in that second year, right?
I think it was like year one, 5K, then something like 20 or 30. And then
Okay.
it went
That's right.
to, it's like, then it just doubled like 60, 70, and then
S-
100. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's that multiplier effect. So if you take me back to that weird place where it's like 2030, you haven't reached escape velocity, but you obviously have something.
Yeah.
If you were to have shared, right, that 50K post, and then you did a 1 mil ARR post, right? I
Yeah.
think. Okay. See, I know all of your posts. So when you hit that, take me back to what if that didn't happen?
Yeah.
So, like, what if your story, yes, you were, and so much credit to you for doing it, but it all worked out,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah.
what would have happened if it's like you went from 50 and you weren't hitting that 83K a month?
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about what you would do different or what? Because it all worked out. So how do you think it differently if it didn't?
Yeah, I think definitely it's easier to share the wins than the losses. So
Yeah,
for
yeah,
sure, obviously you hit 1 million ARR, you're like, I want to share this.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like a big success for us personally. If you don't hit it, yeah, then the question is, what do you write about? Like I
yeah,
would like to be at 1 million, but I'm not.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
it's more like
yeah.
probably you start writing about other things. And we actually, I had that. I think there was one year where I was like, I'm not sure what to write about because
Mm,
we didn't change a lot. Like we were just doing a lot of the same, right? And I didn't want to
yeah,
have another post where it's like, this is the same again, and
yeah,
this is
yeah.
where we are now. So I don't know if I think we would have kept building in public, but that's easier said.
And yeah,
I
it's way
think that
easier said
done.
than done. Like
I think I
if
would write about struggles like we've
mm,
hired and fired some people, like
yeah,
talking about that, right? Like talking about plateauing maybe, and then like, oh, we need to figure out new marketing strategies, and then what did we experiment with? Okay, I would
oh
probably
yeah,
do stuff like that. But
Y-
yeah, we're lucky that we didn't have to. But I
yeah.
definitely think it's just easier to build in public when everything goes well. Like I 100% agree.
Isn't it? Like sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna take the time to do it, and sometimes a lot of times the pressure, like I don't think you applied pressure to yourself and in the journey. Like a pressure like a venture capital pressure
No.
where it's like grow now, grow now, grow now or die.
Yeah.
You had it took a year to get to 5K and that's amazing. And anyone looks at that and I question like I'm telling the audience go back and read these blog posts. We'll link a couple here in the description. But if you read them, she's sharing this journey in real time. So you have to remember they were going through then. Like
Yeah.
it took them a year to get to 5K MRR. Today, people want to get to 5K MRR next month,
Yeah.
right? Like it took you a year to get there. The great thing about that is the next year, at the end of the next year, you said you were at 30? Or am I
Yeah,
not
I think
listening?
20 or 30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, great. That's amazing. A lot of people want to be at 30 at the end of their first year or 8 months or 6 months.
Correct.
We're going to
Yeah.
be hyper growth. And then you think, okay, but the end of your third year, you were, no, not you're growing exponentially. I remember the chart. I can see it in my head.
I think that's 60.
Yeah. And
Oh,
then it has absolutely rocket shipped.
yeah.
And I'm sure you have to do less now because it's just kind of taking on its own life. Is there any place in there that you kind of second guess the product led growth part of it? Like if the product is growing it, right? So
Yeah.
talk a little bit about the product led growth strategy, like
Yeah.
at the early stages and how you kind of bake that in to
Yeah.
get exponential down the line.
Yeah, I think so. The most important part is that so it's a freemium product, right? But that we
Hmm.
gave and still give a lot of stuff for free. So basically
Yeah.
everything is available for free, and we don't have volume-based pricing. That's kind of what differentiates us from the other players on the market. And so it's really easy to come in and try out a free tool, right? So we try to make the barrier to attract new people as low as possible. So we didn't even have a landing page in the beginning. It was just the form builder. So if you would go to tally.so, you
Yeah.
would
Yeah.
immediately be in the editor.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't
I
need
thought
an
that was great.
account. So you can build the form. And only when you publish, you would need to create an account because we need to save that form somewhere. So we made it as easy as possible for people to try it out, and I think that's super important. And we give a lot of value as fast as possible. So you're in there and you're like, oh wow, I can do all of this, for free. That's great. You publish your form if you're a free user. Obviously, we have the virality baked in because it's forms are made to share with other people.
Yeah.
So you share your form with, I don't know, maybe 500 other people. They all get to see our brand because we have a Made with Tally badge on the free forms. That's how we grow. Those 500 people say like, oh, this looks like a nice form. So we have put a lot of thought in the
Yeah.
design
Yeah.
and UX of the form. I'll click it, I'll try it out. And so that's our growth engine. And from those free users, I would say now it's around 2 to 3% converts to Tally Pro, and that's how we make money. And Tally Pro basically just unlocks extra functionality, so you can remove the branding. You can have your forms on custom domains, you have more customization options, and so on. So if you're a business, you would that's what we see. Businesses immediately upgrade to Tally Pro because it's like a no-brainer. It's $29 a month. It's very cheap, and you don't want to have our brand on there, right?
Yeah.
But then most creators, indie hackers, smaller businesses that don't want to pay, just use it for free. Have access to all the functionality that they need, and share forms with our branding on it. And so that's our biggest growth engine. And I think one other crucial aspect there is that we've invested a lot in customer support. So we try to answer everyone, within an hour or a couple of hours, which is pretty fast for a small team.
Yeah.
And by
How
doing
do you
that,
handle that? Like, how do you handle, especially with all the freemium users?
yeah, so we offer support to everyone, so to all the free users as well. We only recently hired a full-time customer
Yeah.
success manager in-house, but we did work throughout the years with, in total, 3 freelancers. So one person is based in Europe and 2 people are based in the States, to help cover the time zones. And so they work on Tally besides their real jobs.
Yeah.
So they do a
Oh,
couple of
okay.
hours a day, a week, go in the inbox, handle tickets. That's
How
kind
does
of the
that not
setup.
get inundated? Like, because okay, so we launched like a consumption-based LTD, right?
Okay.
Like I love one-time pricing models
Yeah.
and I love experimenting with them. I love the community that it brings. I believe like we've had it's all consumption based, so nothing really is unlimited unless you're one of the lucky ones that we kind of give away to like early founding members
Yeah.
of a product we launch. But they're still paying $1,000. Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll go $1,000. And what's funny is I've been a paying Tally customer a year and a half. I don't know, over a year. Definitely maybe 2 years. I don't know. At least over
I'll
a
need to
year.
check.
You'll need to check. You'll need to check me. And I'm telling you right now, there's something special about what you did, because I did it, one, because I like forms without branding on them. So that you got that. That's great,
Obviously.
right?
Yeah.
But I did it out of guilt.
Yeah.
I pay that bill every month, and I use whenever I use, even if I'm not using forms that month, right?
Yeah.
Like, I've fluctuated on using forms, but I pay it, and every time I see tally, I just go, I hope she's doing well. Like, that's
Uh,
literally what I do. I'm not kidding
that's
you.
actually funny to hear, because we've heard that before, and that's kind of obviously what we're going for, is that we give tons of value for
You
free,
do.
and
You do.
some people come to us and they're like, I just want to pay. Like, I've gotten so
Yes.
much. Maybe I
Yeah.
don't even really need the pro features, but I just kind of wanna pay for the product.
Yeah.
And
I'm telling you
yeah,
that the guilt isn't because I know you or know
yeah,
of you or read your stuff. It's from, I look at this and you guys give me unlimited workspaces, unlimited forms, unlimited responses. And I go, that's so much value,
yeah,
because Typeform uh, is like, they don't even have an unlimited response tier anymore.
no,
I was grandfathered in. I've been paying for Typeform. Here's an advertisement for you. I was paying for Typeform since like 2018.
right,
And I had a grandfathered plan, and it was like 35 bucks, and I did get unlimited responses.
okay,
And
good
I
deal.
yeah, yeah. And I paid that ever since like 2018. And I was paying for Tally and Typeform, okay?
Right,
And I go, I need to cancel Typeform. Like, I need whatever it was, I was like, there's way more value with tally forms. And I feel like with Typeform, the entire bit, what is the max plan you get is like 10,000 responses or something. And it's like $99 a month. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's atrocious. So, and that was like $100 a month for for forms. And you're like, I don't know, but I will pay this 29 bucks,
yeah, yeah,
every month, because there's so much value there. You made the pricing and feature set so simple because you only had that one
right,
plan.
yeah,
So, from the business model perspective, like, and the growth piece, you guys really went into freemium.
yeah,
Like, and was that the strategy that, like, as long as we get the freemium numbers, we can convert at 3%?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
was that
totally.
always the strategy? Like, it has to
Yeah,
be free?
it has to be free. So we have like these three principles. So
Mhm.
first of all, does it add value? So whenever we make decisions or we need to build a new feature, right? Can we make it free? So what does it cost us? Can we make it free? Because if
Yeah.
it's free, we get more users. So you can see it as a marketing cost, right? Like
Sure.
we don't do paid marketing, but we offer all of this for free, which is also a
Sure.
cost, obviously.
Yeah.
So can we make it free? Yes, then we will. Can we make it simple enough so that everyone can
Yeah.
enjoys using it, so the
Yep.
product stays simple, so we don't have more customer support, so it's accessible, so the simplicity is super super important.
Yep.
And then the third one is, and that's more of how we run our business, like we try to give everything a personal touch, right? Tally is us, it's like our third baby, I would say.
Yeah.
We're very
Yeah.
transparent. We're talking to users every day. We build in public. We share everything, and that kind of became part of our brand. That we are
Yeah.
the underdog. We're bootstrapped. We're
Yeah.
building in public, and that's just a sharp contrast to all the VC backed players
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
So that's definitely part of the strategy. Can we make it free? If it's free, it will help us grow. And if the maths, then in the
The
end,
math.
if the numbers work out, and if we can keep on offering good quality customer support to such a big user base, then it works for us.
Do you mind sharing how many like tickets you get a day?
Yeah, we got 35 yesterday, and that was apparently a record.
Oh,
so
wow.
I think usually it's around, I would say 100 a week. Something like
That's
that.
great.
But it is getting more.
I almost feel like you could do that yourself. Like, I get how you're doing it.
So we did, but
yeah.
The thing is, the time spent on the ticket can be quite long because there's
like, what is a normal ticket that would take time? Like for a form
we have
builder?
This feature called conditional logic, where you can have custom paths, and people build very, very complicated forms, forms with hundreds of questions, and then you can sometimes get lost in the logic, right? So debugging that, which is something we do try to help people with, that takes time. Integrations, right? Something goes wrong with Zapier, Make, trying to reproduce it.
With Task Magic.
Anything like that. Bugs appear, obviously. These things just take more time than
if you go back, because you mentioned a lot of form builders, you mentioned Typeform, I mentioned Typeform. There's Google Forms. There's a lot of form players, like Notion has forms, and it's one thing, or maybe they just launched forms or something. I don't remember.
Yeah, they just launched.
Yeah. So I follow your journey. I don't follow theirs. So like that's what's funny. I'm not paying for their forms. I'm paying for your forms, and I think like I wanted to personally ask this one because I'm going through kind of this challenge as well, where we build, like you just mentioned, Zapier or Make or whatever. And that's a competitor to Task Magic, which is our automation builder. And we have an apps builder that has a Tally app. That also I'm thinking, okay, cool. She went against a crowded field and made a form builder, like a beautifully simple, a lot of value form builder. And it's like, Google Forms is free, but like this is beautiful, right? Like this is easy to use, more functionality than Google Forms. Still but there's dozens of form plugins on WordPress and all these places. When you think about launching something into like a crowded field, what do you think made you stand out? Or how do you handle like, oh, I just use this form builder?
Yeah.
How did you handle that? Or
I think you said it already when you said like it's beautifully simple, right? That's what we went for, right? So we personally didn't really find a form builder that was free and that looked really well and that was fun to use. And so we were kind of trying to solve that very niche problem or that we encountered ourselves. And I think our reasoning was, if we're bootstrapped and we're small, the market is huge. There's a lot of competition, but there's a lot of demand as well. We don't want to go educate users on why do you need our product. Like, it's super straightforward. Everyone needs forms at some point, right?
Oh, I didn't
cannot do that.
Yeah.
And we only need to claim a super small percentage of this niche market to be hugely successful because we're such a small team, right?
Yeah.
If you have a company of thousands of employees, obviously you need to make different decisions than we have to. But I think for us there is this niche of users that really value the design and the UX of what we've built, and that combined with the pricing model, with it being free, helped us grow. And so that's kind of how we've looked at it from the beginning, and we only got more convinced of this strategy throughout the years.
Yeah. So how big of the market, again, these are the weird VC questions you don't have to worry about when you're bootstrapped.
Yeah.
And it's like, because that's how I've almost been trained, is how do you compare yourself in the market, and how do you, like, you're not going to get a big percentage of that market. And it's like, oh my God, we could definitely get to like 500,000 a month. Right. Like, but that's not, and to their credit, that's not big enough for venture capital.
No,
Right.
right,
If that's
right.
your market. And
Yeah,
you don't have to, I think a lot of times people raise money without knowing the real expectation
yeah,
that you built an amazing product that almost 500,000 people use. Like, and there's nothing stopping you to hitting 1,000,000. I don't think, and I'm sure you don't think that hitting 1,000,000 is like, and I'm sure I'll read that blog post. But how big do you think you can get in a crowded market? And does that even matter? Do you even think about that? Is it just like we're like set? Like we're gonna keep going. I don't know why we wouldn't keep going or keep growing.
yeah.
Like, how do you think about
Um,
that?
yeah, I think so. Jotform, they are bootstrapped,
Yeah.
right?
Are they?
They are, they are,
Man, aren't
they
they
are,
really big?
they are really big.
Yeah,
So
wow.
I don't know the exact
How
numbers
big
now, but
are they?
I mean, I need to look it up. I'm actually bad with numbers, but
No. In
they are the
2024,
biggest.
Dotform's revenue, take a guess. Just guess right now. Just guess.
I don't know.
You
I
got to
really don't
guess. You got to guess. G-
I don't know.
Guess a
Billion.
number.
I
And
don't know.
it's this is
That's not
insane.
good.
This is insane. You ready for this? 145 million.
Million, yeah. Yeah.
145 million in a year.
That's
Okay.
a lot.
So, yeah, you just school. Yeah. That's bootstrapped. Wow.
Yes, yes, I believe they are. So, there are
That's amazing.
examples out there of there's
No way.
Paperform, an Australian player. They're also bootstrapped. They
Mm.
are a few years ahead of us. My leg went up. They are doing great as well. So I think there's a lot of room for growth for us. And we became more ambitious throughout the years, and we do kind of want to become a household name in the form building business. So we
Yeah.
kind of started as, okay, this is niche and fun, but now I feel like, this can become a lot bigger than what it is now.
Do you have a goal in mind?
Yeah, we do want to. So we're a team of four just very recently. So we've been just two people, for 3
Nice.
years. We're
Yeah.
4 people now. We're going to hire 2 more people. And so we think that with a team of 10, we can probably, we should be able to get to basically 1 million ARR per employee. So we should be able to get to 10 million. That is
Oh, I
that
like
is
that.
that is the
Yeah.
goal, and I think
Um,
that
yeah.
should be the goal. Yeah.
Yeah. 1 million ARR per employee. I
Yeah,
love
that
love
would
that.
be
I
a
hate
good blog post.
No, dude, I'm telling you, I feel like I look at what you're doing and I take all your ideas as inspiration. Yeah, like, okay, if you go to taskmagic.com, our plan is $29.
Yeah,
Our free model is I had to match, I had to feel like I'm giving so much value.
yeah,
Meaning you get one with Zapier, like thinking about competitors, right? With Zapier, I thought about Typeform and Tally and what did she do? And I'm
yeah.
like on my whiteboard making stuff. I'm literally, you are helping me run my business from afar and you have no
Oh
idea.
my God. Don't
Y-
don't take us too seriously as well,
I
because sometimes we're like, people ask us for advice. We're like, we're also just doing stuff, right?
no, I know that's what's
I mean, we're
great. That's
trying
what's
out
great.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to learn from another because like automation, there's a lot of competitors, right?
Yeah.
So not thinking about the investor, right? About
Yeah.
competitive and TAM. And it's like the market's really big. Okay. Well, how are you going to get it this way? Fine. We don't know yet, is also the truth, right?
Yeah.
So freemium model, we would give like Zapier's plan is garbage for their free model is
Yeah.
horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible. So I was like, okay, let's just give one automation flow, unlimited runs, right?
Okay.
Most of
Yeah.
my things are like most of my plans I ever had with automation companies were like one automation took all my usage. right? I had a form builder that had 1,000 forms, and it's like, oh my God, get on our $140 a month plan. And you're like, or lose your form automations, you know? So I go, okay, so I need that. $29 was the perfect price that I look at, and I wish Marie well, like every day, even if I don't use forms. I have forms on our site that are tally forms though. And it's so funny that I kind of like take lockstep from what you're doing. And weirdly enough, are you ready for this? I'll share it with this with you. We just released our freemium version to no one. We haven't launched on Product Hunt or anything.
Okay.
And we had, I think, 2,000 freemiums or something like that. Maybe a month ago it was 2,000 freemiums. And we converted to a paid $29 plan, 8%.
Wow.
Yeah. I know the
So
numbers are low. I know the numbers are low.
no, but that's
But
great,
like,
right?
yeah, they're not like, it's not 100,000 users or whatever. You got to grow that.
Yeah.
But the difference is, there's one difference. I have a little money in the bank.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have the crux of something that's valuable. And here's what I'm going to
Yeah.
ask you for this advice. If it's not like we have a bunch of money, right? We run like, we're fine. We run like consumption based one time pricing, which I really believe in and love. And then you kind of have this mix. So if you were magically given like 100 grand, okay, which bootstrappers don't have, okay,
Right.
we just knocked it out of the park with like our consumption based like usage pricing.
Yeah.
And when we launched on AppSumo, hey, all
Yeah.
the AppSumo links. Um, if you go back to that time where you had like the 5,000 MRR, like the small time, and someone gives you 100K, is there anything you would do differently? Is there like, I know you just started experimenting with influencer marketing, right? Was that in your
Yeah.
last? Okay.
Yeah.
Would you have done anything differently or no, absolutely not? This was
I
the,
think I think we would have done things earlier. Like we waited
mm,
really long with hiring, too
okay.
long, basically.
Okay.
So just the product outgrew us. We were just doing solving customer support tickets, not actually growing or building the product. So I think I would have hired earlier for sure. And we still are not really doing that, but I think I would have also run more experiments with paid. Like influencer marketing is the first thing that we're kind of testing, but that just because that organically really feels close to our community creating content and us like trying to amplify that. So it like feels like a no-brainer.
Mm,
But I think I would probably have invested already in, let's run some Google ads. Let's just
mm.
experiment and try some stuff. While I didn't do that because I was very careful with the money.
Yeah, right. I'm
Um,
still careful with money.
yeah,
Like,
I mean,
yeah.
of course, yeah. So I think just probably taking a bit more risks on the growth side of things, and definitely hiring because Philip was just building and designing the product by himself for 3 years, and that was not the
That
most
is
thing to do.
incredible, Philip. That
Yeah,
is Philippe, is it? Yeah,
yeah, Philip, yeah,
Philip. Word to you, man. You are amazing. Like,
yeah. And he's the secret ingredient behind the product-led growth, right? You
yeah,
need to
that,
have a really good product to be
yeah,
able to pull this off, and that's
right.
where it all starts. Yeah.
And he's the only engineer.
So not anymore. Now we
Okay.
have two. So
Okay.
now we
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
one more
Yeah.
engineer, and we're looking for a third one now.
How long were you building it before even launching the initial version to your cold outreach users?
A few months.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you got to that version in a few. I think I remember hearing that. Okay.
Yeah, a few months, and the version was really basic, so you couldn't even publish forms.
No way.
It was just the editor. So yeah, and that was it. So you couldn't actually really use it. You could just like type some stuff. Yeah, that was
That's
it.
it. And then, like, when you launched on Product Hunt, is there
Yeah,
any
then
strategy behind that? Like, because you had the couple hundred people, but you had a
yeah, then
decently successful launch, right?
yeah, but then we did make sure that we had like all the what we thought were basic form building features. So we looked at a Typeform, Jotform,
Mm.
SurveyMonkey, and so on. And we were like, okay, what are like the basic things that people need to have? Because we didn't want to launch and then get the feedback of like, hey, where do I put my phone number, or
Yeah,
stuff like that. So
yeah.
we made sure we had like, if you build a contact form, all the fields you need. Some basic. We didn't have logic even yet. I think we had.
Well, yeah, because you just added that or recently?
No, we added that pretty early on,
Okay.
but we've improved it over time. But just kept the functionality really basic, but made sure that we had most of the input fields, just to avoid like getting
Yeah.
that feedback.
Yeah, like
Uh,
toggles and things like that.
yeah, or
Yeah.
like, oh, I want to have a multiple choice. Yeah, you kind of want to have that in there, right?
Yeah.
When you launch. So we just made sure we had all of that. And then probably just one or two integrations, and that was it.
So
So
is
it
it
was pretty
one
basic, yeah.
so you would add to hiring, okay, so a little bit,
Yeah.
and that hire would have been like a support person, like helping with support or community or whatever?
Yeah, support and then engineering, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because he was working not what was his workload like as the solo engineer of it?
Yeah, I
Like
mean, day and night type of thing.
let's be real, let's be real.
Yeah.
How many hours was he probably putting in, like, on a daily basis?
So before kids,
Yeah,
so we
yeah.
started, it was COVID and we were in lockdown. So we had nothing else to do than this. So I
Mhm.
think it would be like, I mean, it's just like an all day type of
Like, serious
all
like
day. Like
14,
there's
16
there's
hours,
nothing
yeah, ever
else. Yeah.
wow, yeah. I
Obviously you
love
need to
that.
sleep and but
Yeah.
he's a workaholic, so I cannot do that. Like
Oh,
for me,
yeah.
like battery is low and then I need to, rest. But
You know,
he can just keep on going. Yeah.
that shows in the product, though. Like,
Yes.
I know what it's like to hire an engineer where they wanna
Yeah.
clock in, clock out, and I
Yeah.
know what those products look like,
Yeah.
right, and feel like, and it feels like he has put in every minute of every day into it,
Yeah. I
you
mean,
know,
he's
like
obsessed by it, right?
yeah,
Like he
yeah,
he also, I mean, he cannot sleep, when
right,
a
yeah,
bug would come in and he would be like,
yeah,
I'll check tomorrow, and then 5 minutes later he's on his
yeah,
laptop again,
yeah,
like fixing it.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he lives and breathes this
Do you
this product. Yeah.
I feel like you do a lot of people wanna talk work-life balance, and I am here for I am here for I don't know if it's balance, but, like, it's you gotta do what you love.
Yeah.
Like, you have to do what you love because
Yeah.
products need that kind of attention definitely in the first few years.
I just
Like,
think you cannot run a startup and have a work-life balance. It's just not, those two things just don't go hand in
well, I'm
hand.
glad you said it because I get for it all the time.
I mean, I
I
would
think.
I would love it,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
that's just not reality. Like, and you also get so consumed by it, and if you're passionate by it, there's no way you're not gonna be busy with it all the time. Yeah, obviously kids help there, right? You need to
yeah.
stop at one point.
How do you
So
do
that
that?
helps.
How do you do that balance with kit with multi I literally the idea of I don't know if I'll keep this part, but, like, the idea of having another kid my daughter is oh, she'll be 1 oh,
Oh,
happy
yeah.
birthday to your,
Yeah,
is
they
it
were
Theo?
around the same age.
Yeah,
Theo, yeah,
yeah,
indeed.
yeah. So, like, her birthday is next week. Yeah,
Okay.
next week, next Saturday. Um, and I'm like, "Dude, if we had another kid right now, I'd what the" like, I literally think to myself I had a panic attack watching one of these, like, we got pregnant 5 months ago and now we're pregnant again videos.
Yeah, no.
Dude, I
Horror.
wanted to like, dude, the thought of that, because early on when I messaged you like earlier this year, I was watching her at home. So remember, I mean, I wasn't going to bring this up, but I did. So when I was like, the last lag was me, it was because
Yeah.
I was running this tech company with,
Yeah.
we don't have that many employees. And watching her
Yeah.
while her mom went back to work. So like it
Yeah.
was rough. So the thought about having another kid is insane. How do you do it? Like, any tips out there for
Yeah.
parents starting a startup that are trying to go through it or think they can't start a business? Like,
Yeah.
is there any helpful hints?
I mean, no real like. I guess so. In Belgium, the system is probably a bit different. Kids go
Oh,
to
okay.
daycare when they're 3 months old, so it's very
Oh,
young,
yeah.
right? And so it's normal here. It's not that normal in other countries, so that helps. Usually, mothers that are employees, they get 3 months off. After those 3 months, there's daycare. Daycare is open. I don't know. Let's say probably even from 8 to 5:30 or something like that.
Mhm.
So you can at least have the day, and work. You can have a
Yeah.
9 to 5 job, and manage that. I think for us, we worked from home for a very long time,
Okay.
trying to combine looking after the baby and working. And it was just very stressful. Like that didn't really work out. So she went to daycare. Obviously, pretty early on, and then it did take us 3 years to have another kid because we
Yeah.
had the exact same thing. Like we were like, oh,
You
this
were
is something
puked.
else.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
this is
That's
life
true.
changing, and everyone
3
that
years
does
is
have
perfect, I
kids.
think, by the way. I think.
Yeah, for us, it was the time I needed to be ready to like go through it again and like
Sure.
feel
Yeah.
like that we would survive, and so 3 years was a good.
Yeah. She can kinda help herself, you know?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
You can
there's
kinda
less
go get that from the
diapers.
yeah. Yeah.
Indeed, they talk, walk,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
helps,
Right.
become their own little individuals. So
Right,
she
yeah.
started going to school as well. So a lot changes.
Mhm.
And then I was like, okay, we can add one more baby to the mix, and
Yeah.
then it's done. That's kind of how we looked at it.
Oh, you
We,
wanted 2 and you were done?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, when you got
That
one
was
of
the
each.
idea. And we have one of each, so we were, really lucky.
Yeah.
I think what works for us, and this might sound weird for a lot of people, but we became very like we kind of run the family a bit like we run the business, I guess, because we kind of had to.
That's great.
So we have this shifts thing where
Okay.
it switches every week. So one week, for example, this week, I have the morning shift. And what does that mean? That means that I get up, I get the kids ready, and I also am responsible for bringing them to school or daycare,
Mm.
and then I can go to work. So that means that the other person, Philip, he can get up at 6 and go to work, and start working really early. And when you have the morning shift, you start working later, but you can also work later in the evening because you don't have to go home. You don't have to pick them up. That's the other person. So it's like start late, work late, or start very early and stop early because you need to pick up the kids. And this switches every week.
Oh, no
Because,
way. Okay.
yes, because it is tough to do the morning shift for 2 weeks.
Yeah,
So we
okay, cool.
decided like we switch every week. And that means that one week, if you can we can be in the office as long as as long as I want. I can also, if I want to see friends or just go for dinner after work, I can do all of that. And so you have a bit
Yep.
more time for work and for yourself in the evenings, and then it switches again the next week. This works really well for us because there's no discussions. There's also
Yeah.
no exceptions. So if you have to go somewhere and it's your shift, then you need to arrange, like a babysitter, someone else. So this is the only way that it works for us. If we don't have this, then we end up having discussions, and we don't need that. So this works. It's a pretty like defined structure.
Yeah.
It's very 50-50 because we're both running the business as well, and
Do
we
your
both
kids?
Also, Sorry.
Does your no? You were on a roll, and I now feel rude for interrupting you. Does your youngest, your daughter, does she hate it at all? Like, because she's old enough now to be like what the? I don't want to. Like, I don't want mom. Like, it's like I want dad or one because those
Oh,
things get shifted every
yeah,
week. So it's like, no,
yeah,
dad's taking you to school. Not dad takes me to school every morning
yeah.
forever. It's
I think
like,
she's starting to understand. Obviously, they don't have sense of time. They don't know what next
yeah,
week is, so
they don't
that's
know anything.
abstract. They don't know
Yeah.
anything. But I think in the morning, she's like, "Okay, what day is it today?" So they don't even know if it's a weekday so that's where it starts. Like, okay,
Yeah,
it's
we're talking about
Friday.
kids like they're not. They're like these.
Yeah,
They are these like nothing human sacks of skin.
yeah.
Like
It's
they don't
literally you
know.
just no. They would not
They
survive the day,
Yeah, right.
like
They
without
don't. They couldn't go get the food themselves. It
no.
has to be in the fridge. You know. That is.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah,
But
that's
that's how
funny.
it starts. Like, is it school day? Okay. Are
Yeah.
you bringing me or are you picking me up? So our daughter is the oldest one actually, so she's starting to understand that.
Oh, because she's
And the
4 now,
yes,
right?
she's 4 now,
Yeah.
and then Theo is 1, and so yeah, he has. I mean, he has no clue. Obviously, he just
Yeah.
goes with
Yeah.
the flow, and
Yeah.
yeah, I
He's
think
still
he's
spitting on
fine.
himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I know exactly what one is.
Yeah,
Is he
we're
walking
in the
yet?
same boat. No, no,
No,
and
okay.
also not talking. So he's just like, yeah, I think
Not
he's
talking,
slow.
not blabbering
Like
or not.
he is blabbering, but I would have expected like a mama, by now. And there's
Oh, okay.
something like that, but not.
I think
I don't know.
my
I'm not
daughter
sure.
just says mama and she started to say dada, but she says it
uh,
to anything.
yeah, but
You
that's
know, she
normal. Yeah,
doesn't know what she's saying.
no,
She's
yeah,
parroting it,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
indeed.
because I've said
It's
it
not linked to
8
the person.
correct. It's not linked to
Yeah,
anything,
no.
like her dog is a dada. So like,
Yeah,
and
that
even then, like
sounds.
she's just murmuring it.
Yeah.
So I'll get you out of here because I know your shift has got to start. Is your shift starting?
No,
Your
so
shift is
tonight, not, no, I have another call actually.
okay.
Probably now. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Last
But
question. You moved
no
to an
worries.
office, right?
Yes.
So what was behind that decision? And then I'll get your tail out of here.
Yeah. The office move was really crucial and it only happened recently. So it happened in
Mhm.
September this year, 2024.
Congrats, by the way. I
Uh,
think that's a big move.
Thanks. Yeah, because for
Yeah.
us, working from home became like super normal because we didn't have a team or it was a remote team. And it was just us, so it didn't make sense like, oh, let's go sit in an office together, we might as well sit at home. But it
Yeah.
became work life, as we talked about, is difficult anyway, but then
Mhm.
when you work from home together as a couple, it becomes even more difficult. So when we hired our first engineer, he's a friend of ours. He's based in Ghent, so we needed an office. And at the same time, there was this epic location in Ghent. It's like an old circus and it's renovated into a startup campus, and it
Okay.
was a perfect place for us to get an office. And so it just kind of all came together, and it felt like the right moment to do it. And we were amazed by the effect that it had on.
Oh, sure.
And it's such a simple thing. Like, why didn't we do this earlier? Well, in the beginning, obviously budget, but then it just kind of became a habit to work from home. Just waking up, going to the office, having this separation between home and the office.
Yeah.
We're a lot more productive. We are a lot more structured. We plan less other stuff during the day that also needs to happen. But, it's just more focus on work. On building a team here. We never work from home anymore. We haven't been at
Oh,
home one
wow.
day since we have the office. So we come every day because we love it. It is only like 5-minute bike ride from where we live, so
Okay.
that helps. but it's been, I think game changing for
And
talent.
what is this city? What was it?
It's Ghent. It's called Ghent, in Belgium. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, you're amazing. I know you got to run. This was everything I had hoped. I think I covered every question. Marie, I absolutely love you as a person and everything you do, and you honest to God inspire me if there's one entrepreneur, some people go Elon Musk, and you're like, that's too far, that's too far, right?
You
Like,
need to, yeah.
yeah, like you need to be a couple degrees away.
Yeah.
And it's like, you really do inspire me. So I encourage everyone to come in, read her blog posts, read her articles. Where do they find you?
Yeah, so the blog is at blog.tally.so, and our normal website is just tally.so. And me on Twitter, that would be the main channel. It's at Marie Martens. That's my name.
Awesome. Thank you so much for what the it's early. I can't even get off here.
Thank you.
Oh my God.
Thanks for the invite. And you're way too kind, obviously, but thanks for having me. And I enjoyed our chat.
No, me too.